Earlier this week, students across Australia used a Facebook event to plan a climate change protest set for the 15th of March, only to find that Facebook removed their event. This week for Vox Pops, Alex hits the streets of Perth to find out your opinions on Facebook censorship and student-led protests.
So over the weekend, a student protest group was removed from Facebook and then brought back a couple of days later as part of a censorship problem. Do you feel like Facebook should have the right to censor protest groups?
I think there's always a limit to what people should be allowed to do in a public space like Facebook, but it sounds as though that's a pretty harmless and probably healthy thing that those students are trying to do if they're just protesting something that's positive. I don't know why Facebook, I've got no idea about the situation, no idea what Facebook was thinking. Facebook have been pretty heavy-handed with some social issues lately.
I disagree. I don't think Facebook should have the right because if everyone in Australia has freedom of speech, that should be inclusive of all Australians, which is young people as well, and young people have just as much of a right to protest as any other person.
No, Facebook shouldn't have the right to do that because it is Facebook and it's not censored, and they're overage. They're at the age that they should have a right to speak.
I don't think so, because I think everyone has the freedom to speech and to give their opinion to what they think.
Do you feel like there should be limits on the censorship on Facebook, like what can be censored and what can't?
I think there should be. I mean, for people's safety, obviously, you don't want explicit images. You want them to be censored, but I think protesting is different to that.
There is a limit, yes, there is a limit to what they can censor. Yeah, come on, I'm 15 or whatever, but they're over age, they're obviously at age, and yeah, why can't they speak?
I think so. I think there's a specific limit where it's just not okay anymore.
Do you feel like Facebook can be a good place for political discourse amongst people?
It's certainly got the potential to be, but it encourages people just to preach to their own choirs and form their little cliques. For some reason, we're not very tolerant at all on Facebook about other people's views and opinions, so we're very quick to get defensive and not actually listen, and obviously the stuff that Facebook is implicated in.
Yeah, for sure. I think social media, I'm a musician myself, so social media is a pretty powerful platform to use for that sort of thing because you can reach more people, and I think, yeah, it's a place to start at least.
Exactly, I think Facebook's that's why they got it. That's why they got Twitter. That's why they got all these other. Well, I don't know. I understand Twitter, but I do know Facebook.
Do you think that the fact it was a student group, do you think it's a good idea that students are trying to get into political discourse and talk about politics together?
I think students have always been really good at getting out on the streets and bringing attention to issues. Absolutely. Really, what good is a student if they're not out there protesting issues when they've got the time to?
With the rise of the internet as a global media platform, the medium is proving itself to be vulnerable to information warfare. Ron Nearing, an eminent Republican from the US, spoke this week at a presentation hosted by the Liberal Party of WA.
Hello everybody. The Policy Committee of the Liberal Party of Western Australia has decided to organise a discussion about information warfare and its effect on Western democracy. They have decided to bring to us a Republican campaign strategist to enlighten us about the ramifications of information warfare and its effect on our democracy. Let's sit back, relax and enjoy this discussion.
Disinformation, election interference, cyber attacks. These are gray zone tactics that the United States and others have struggled to counter.
Can you introduce yourself to us and the reason why you are here in Western Australia?
Sure. My name is Ron Nearing. I'm the Director of International Programs for the Leadership Institute, which is an American NGO. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about information warfare and how it applies through recent events.
And information warfare, what are the disadvantages of information warfare to our democracy?
Well, certainly we saw in 2016 in the American presidential election there was an active effort on the part of the Russian government to influence American public opinion and to influence our elections. And so Western democracies need to fully appreciate and understand the threat that this poses, that hostile foreign governments could choose to interfere in our democratic process.
And how can we counter the effect of information warfare?
Well, number one, our governments have to be aware that this is a threat, and voters or everyday citizens need to be aware that the information that you're seeing online may not be completely accurate. We should be a little more skeptical of information before we share it on Facebook or retweet something on Twitter, particularly when it's very sensationalistic or very negative.
What is the origin of information warfare?
Well, certainly what we've seen is with the advent of the internet and social media, it allows for hostile forces to really use old tactics that they've been using in the past, like propaganda and trying to mislead people, and it weaponizes that because it allows people to bypass the traditional media filters and just get information directly to voters. And if they're disguising themselves to be actual citizens of a country like Australia or the United States, then all of a sudden people are sharing this information, then they wind up being fraudulently duped into doing the bidding of a hostile foreign power without even knowing it.
You are a campaign strategist for the Republican Party. Do you see yourself as a propagandist?
No, certainly not. I think that the major difference that you see, political campaigns can get tough and so on, but what you saw on the part of the Russians is that they disguised themselves, creating literally thousands of fake accounts, pretending to be Americans and pretending to share the views of American citizens. That's not transparent. That's a form of fraud, and we have to be aware of that.
How are we sure it was the Russians who are perpetrating this information warfare? Because we've got the North Koreans, we've got the Chinese who also can do this.
Yeah, this was very well established not only by American intelligence but by the intelligence agencies of our allies, as well as private cybersecurity firms who have experience in going up against these Russian entities, which involve extensions of the Russian FSB and the GRU, which is Russia's intelligence agencies. They are very specific tactics and strategies that were used on the part of these people that are exactly identical to what the Russians would use.
Do you think some Americans are also part of this information warfare?
Well, the activities that we saw the Russians undertake was really directed by them and carried out by them. We are not aware of any Americans who were involved.
After the election, it emerged Russia was behind a vast amount of fake news. The FBI and Congress are investigating if Russia colluded with the Trump campaign. Facebook uncovered thousands of messages posted from Russian-linked accounts, which reached 126 million Americans.
Last year, we heard about the problem with Cambridge Analytica buying some information from Facebook. Is that also not part of information warfare?
Well, that's a very different form of concern. That had nothing to do with people disguising themselves, creating hundreds of fake Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts pretending to be, someone else. There were certainly privacy issues that were raised by what Cambridge Analytica did. That's part of the reason why they're out of business.
So have you got any message for the viewers out there about this forum?
Sure. I think people should be aware that the information that they sometimes see on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and social media might not be coming from a source that they trust. So everybody should look very carefully at the source of the information. Is it coming from some fly-by-night website that no one's ever heard of, or is it coming from a legitimate news outlet? That's the first filter that we should be applying to what we see on social media.
We've got a lot of viewers out there who look up to you as a role model. What message have you got for them?
Well, I think that one of the advantages of living in a democracy like Australia is that people can get involved in politics. If people don't like what's happening in the federal government or the state government, they can get involved, and people should.
Do you think information warfare is affecting our values as a democracy?
Certainly what we saw on the part of the Russians, and what we'll talk a little bit about tonight, was an effort to play Americans against one another, to really try to move people to the extremes and then try to get them to be very, very hostile to one another. The Russians have identified for a long time what many of the seams are in our society, which they can try to tug at to try to pull people apart. And I think that speaks to the need that we need to have a little more civility in our public life.
Massive data breaches like the hack of 22 million records from the Office of Personnel Management have been tied to state-supported organizations and individuals. Also increasing are state-sponsored attacks against private companies, like North Korea's cyber attack on Sony.
Can you please give us another example, apart from the Russians, of people perpetrating information warfare?
Well, sure. There was the case of Sony Pictures, which was hacked in 2014 by the North Koreans. This was in response to a movie that was produced by Sony. It was a comedy. It was actually not even a very good comedy. The country of North Korea hacked into an American company and then sought to destroy that company. So that's an example of information warfare being used by a foreign country other than Russia.
What do you want the people of Australia to take out of this forum?
I think the first thing is, let's be aware that because we live in a democracy and because we have this new thing called social media that has really become very, very popular, it's not just being used by a couple people but by many people, that we have to be aware that not everything that we see on the internet is true. Lots of conspiracy theories, lots of things that aren't true, and we should subject that to a little more scrutiny.
Do you think our print and television are also part of this information warfare?
Well, certainly if issues are pushed through social media and then they're picked up on by traditional media, then that has an even bigger effect. So traditional reporters are somewhat susceptible to what they see online as well. They're just like everyday people. And so if there's false information or fraudulent information being spread online, that has a potential to affect mainstream media. That's why journalists have to subject their journalistic training and use that to filter out fact from fiction.
Thanks for talking to us, Ron.
My pleasure.
I am Tony ETC, reporting for Undercurrent.
In our last story for this week's episode of Undercurrent, WTV reporter Angela speaks with Mauritius-born Keshif, a Perth-based man who will be travelling to Thailand later this month to compete for the title of Mr. Asian International. He takes with him a combination of personality, health, fitness and determination, along with a handsome face, and is hoping to bring home the win.
My name is Keshav Suraramtahol. I'm from Mauritius, Africa. Mauritius is known to be the key of Indian Ocean, the Paradise Island. Mauritius is a very natural and nature country. It's very green, it's very popular. We got a diversity culture. The people good, are very friendly, and it's known to be one of the best country for tourism. Yeah, I have a family. My family is back in Mauritius. I got my father, my mom, my mother, my sister, my two best friends, Anis and Jawid, who had always have my back, who had always supported me, and my girlfriend, Swela, who had always been there for me, up and down. She has always supported me. Even now, she's doing my manager. She's the one who's doing my promotion, my marketing stuff. I want to achieve my dream, I was nothing when I came to Perth. I joined a model agency. I've been doing photo shooting, I've been doing commercial ads. So now I'm stepping into beauty pageant. And yeah, I'm a very hard work person. I always survive for my hard work. Beauty pageant is worldwide. So if I'm not wrong, they're gonna be like more than 10 countries competing together. I decided to move to Perth because I wanted to leave the comfort zone of my parents. I wanted to pursue my modeling career. And I heard that Australia can give me that comfort. I came here to do my studies as well and to pursue my career. Modeling has been to me since I was a kid. It was due to my mom. My mom helped me to be who I am. She was the one who always encouraged me to be what I am. Well, model isn't just about the beauty that you have. Model is the personality. Being a model is having a good personality. Yeah, and it's kind of being a role model so that you can have people follow you. Well, this competition is that it's going to be in Bangkok, Thailand. It's Mr. Asia International Beauty Contest. So it's being in a beauty pageant competition is a lot of hard work. We got talent competition, we got glamour, photogenic, evening wear, national costume. They're going to judge you on your performance on catwalk. Well, on the personality. It's all being yourself. You know, if you want to be someone, be yourself. Don't try to copy. If you copy, you're gonna struggle. Be yourself. To step out of the darkness, I wanted to explore my talent. I just follow my routine. Just have a very healthy and heavy breakfast, a good lunch, a very light dinner, and eat lots of fruits. Do some sport, do gym, play soccer. This is the kind of way I keep myself fit. Well, I'll build my network via social media. Social media is a very powerful weapon. If you want to succeed in any industry, you have to search for an idol. So my idol is David Beckham. He's a family man, he's a soccer player, he's one of the best male model ever. Keep sharing my pictures, keep sharing my posts, and I will keep updating what's happening. Keep chasing your dream, be a hard worker.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Undercurrent. That's all we have time for, but we hope to see you again next week. I hope you have a good one. Take care.